What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports on this Wednesday. Thanks to everybody listening on ESPN Kansas City, everybody watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and, of course, on KansasNation.com with our technical director, Elijah Schmidt, and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman getting you going here. A lot of KU baseball chatter today. That's the big story here in the River City. KU baseball, for the first time ever, hosting a super regional. They get Oklahoma Saturday, Sunday, and if necessary, Monday. Saturday and Sunday, first pitch, 5 o'clock both days, Monday TBD. And, of course, that's only if the team split the first two games at Hoagland Ballpark. Ticket prices, officially, we don't know, but there's been some fodder out there.
We're
about
seeing some stuff.
It's a little pricey. It's going to be a hot ticket, the hottest ticket in town, unquestionably. Dan, Oklahoma travels well, and we expect they will do the same this upcoming weekend. But KU baseball fans have become kind of a monster of their own.
Yeah.
Going back to last season, but certainly last weekend at the regionals, and vibes are up.
Yeah, and, I get it. Obviously, it's the first super regional that we've ever had here in Lawrence. So I totally understand. I really hope that the students are able to, get in. And I understand that, during the NCAA regional, there was a donor who covered all of the student tickets, so that was a lot of fun, and hopefully that's able to happen again, because that's really that's really important to just be able to get the students into the game. Obviously, with the donors and all the people who have given so much money to KU baseball and Kansas athletics, they need to be able to get in those games as well. So yeah, ticket prices probably pretty high right now, but we kind of anticipated that, but it's going to be a big one, and you can always listen to it on Sports Radio 810 WHB or watch it on ESPN as well. But be sure to get out there and support your Jayhawks, because it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the tickets for the regionals, of course, were sold out pretty much immediately.
Right away. Yeah,
but a lot of fun with the new backyard area, and of course the new area down the left field line as well. Slight change of the visitor bullpen, where we saw they were pushed a little bit further out. Yeah, a little bit of pushback toward the left field foul pole, but they made it work, and man, it was an incredible atmosphere. College baseball at its finest. Down to 16 teams now, the Super Regionals, which is a best-of-3 series. Kansas and Oklahoma. OU went just 14-16. It's a very strong SEC, of course, and they're good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. They're good enough to defeat Georgia Tech 2 times. The Sooners are going to come in thinking that they can knock off KU, but KU, they're as hot as anybody in the country, and they really have been for going on nearly 2 months now. Can't wait to talk about that. We're going to talk more KU baseball next segment. Dan's got some numbers to throw out based on what the prognosticators think KU's chances are. But in this opening segment, we're talking KU basketball. The non-conference schedule was finalized and sent out yesterday. We briefly touched on this at the end of yesterday's show, but we'll go through that in full and some of the storylines and tangential things related to that. After KU baseball chatter, we're talking a little NFL.
Yeah.
Didn't get to this yesterday, so you'll fill everybody in. A very smiley, happy A.J. Brown.
Yes, that's very true. By the way, he posted a weird, edited version of him as a child in a Patriots jersey that was, clearly photoshopped, which I thought was interesting. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to say too much about it, but, a lot of big NFL stuff kind of going through the world right now, and some big signings, some big trades, and all that different kind of stuff. So at least 2 massive trades we're going to kind of touch on, and maybe a new emerging Super Bowl favorite coming out of the NFC West.
Ooh, you're going to go that far, huh? I like it.
I will.
All right, fair enough. One of our favorite guests will then join us in studio, in the flesh.
The Stein.
Straight from California. It's going to be Henry G's coming in to talk all things KU baseball, KU basketball, of course, anything going on. Henry is the guy who knows everything, not just about KU basketball, baseball, all the other Olympic sports. He will keep you abreast on that.
I was telling you this. I invited Henry to my wedding.
Yes.
And I can't wait to party with Henry.
Man, I know he's an Angry Orchard guy.
I had a conversation with him. He told me that he'll just drink whatever's easiest and available, which is
that very much makes sense.
That's a good that's just a good way to kind of live your life. So I'm excited because he hasn't been able to experience Emporia, and I want to show him how much Emporia is like California.
Right. I mean, they're basically one and the same.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about, the beautiful beaches and the palm trees and, all the expensive grocery stores and different things like that. It's just, it's an eclectic place. So a lot of people say Emporia is the California of Kansas.
It's the California of the Midwest.
I always hear that.
Can't wait.
I'm
Has he ever been?
No.
I don't think I've been. I mean, I've driven through it a billion times, of course, but
I'll show you around.
yeah.
I'll show you around. I'll show you
You'll
the.
show me around where the ceremony is, where the reception hall is,
Yes.
and
I'll take you to the football stadium too.
Town Topic or whatever the.
I'll see if they have my name
Not
up
Town
on in the stadium.
Yeah, we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, can't wait for, over at Courtright Stadium there in Emporia. After Henry G, we're gonna do our little KU mailbag segment. Thanks to everybody who has sent in their comments and questions at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Kansas Nation on Facebook. You can do that literally whenever, and we will get to it at some point in our mailbag segment every Wednesday here on Rock Chalk Sports. Then we're going to close out talking NBA Finals as Game 1 tonight, the Spurs and the Knicks. How about NHL last night? Did you see any of that? I didn't see any of the game, but back and forth affair. And the men from Sin City are up 1-0.
Yeah, it was tied up going into the KU football team. I see Leroy Harris right now and
Leroy Harris,
a bunch of other guys walking down Mass Street. Sorry, look,
how about that?
This means nothing to nobody because you're probably watching this later. But yeah, a lot of KU football players all outside right now. Las Vegas, kind of like last minutes of the game, they went into the third period all tied up. I don't know. I don't want the Knights to win.
Yeah,
I just like they're new and it's Las Vegas. Like I want the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm rooting for the Canes.
Well, the Canes got up early. They scored immediately, but 5-4. Vegas took the opener of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well,
it won't be a team from Canada. I'll tell you that much.
Vegas also won. What was it like? 2 or 3 years
they're
ago.
Not as new as you'd think. They've already got a championship, don't they?
Yeah, they already have a championship. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Whatever. I want the Canes to win.
So Stanley Cup champions. We were talking about the most recent.
They won it in like 22.
Most recent one from Canada was Vegas won it in 23.
It was like 93.
It's been the Panthers each of the last 2 years.
It was like 93.
It's so weird when warm weather cities have good, but that's how it was because before the Panthers, Tampa Bay won back-to-back at some point.
That's what I'm saying. Like the last 10 Stanley Cup champions have all been like south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, LA is in there. Carolina did win back in 2006, and the last Canadian team would have been. Is that right? The Montreal Canadiens in '93.
I was right, 93.
Is that right?
Shout out.
Shout out to Barry Melrose, the head coach and former ESPN
Barry Melrose
legend.
Oh.
That's when ESPN was at its finest, though.
Oh, that was
Melrose
so good.
on for the hockey segments, and I didn't know anything about anything because I'm not a hockey guy. But
no, he always had that beautiful long gray hair.
Totally.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely,
shout out to Barry Melrose.
Absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's talk KU basketball here. First, make sure you're sticking to going to KansasNation.com, sticking with us. KansasNation.com. KansasNation.com.
Stick to it.
To be good stick-to-itiveness there by me to make sure I got through that.
Stick-to-itiveness.
At the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Kansas Nation on Facebook all weekend long. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Of course, Friday will be – I know what you were thinking there. You're thinking Eminem. I do know one thing, though. Saturday through Sunday, Monday. Yeah, there it is. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
What's the line between?
I'm not going to say
all
it.
Right. You can say it.
But we've got coverage, of course. Friday – practice day. Kansas and Oklahoma will have their press conferences on Friday as well over at Allen Fieldhouse. So we'll get that for you as well on KansasNation.com. Don't miss anything regarding your KU baseball team. But KU basketball in the news yesterday as our good buddy Chris Tyson sent out an official release on behalf of KU basketball announcing the regular season non-con schedule. Loaded slate again. KU is going to open the regular season by hosting Fordham on Monday, November 2nd. KU then later that week on Friday, November 6th, will get Middle Tennessee State. Following week, just one game, November 10th, Tuesday against Kentucky. That's the Champions Classic in Chicago. A week from that is November 17th. That's the first day of the Players Era for KU. And KU takes on UNLV. Players Era for KU, again, they're a part of the Players Era 8, which is the week before Thanksgiving. It's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, November 17th, 18th, and 19th. It'll be UNLV on Tuesday. The Wednesday game will be against either Auburn or West Virginia, and then the Thursday game against either Florida, Notre Dame, Houston, or Rutgers. Then Thanksgiving week, with Kansas having already done their MTE, they will take on Denver Monday, November 23rd, and Villanova Friday, November 27th. Both of those games at Allen Fieldhouse, as is the game against Northern Iowa on Tuesday, December 1st. And then Sunday, December 6th, the final game in the 6-game agreed series against the team from Columbia will take place at T-Mobile Center, Sunday, December 6th. Saturday, December 12th, that's a big non-con matchup at UConn and Stores. They got us at our place last year, so a good opportunity there. A week from that, December 19th, Saturday, against Ohio State. That's in New York City, a part of the CBS Sports Classic, which Kansas will be in its first year participating in that. Tuesday, December 22nd, KU gets Indiana State at Allen Fieldhouse, and then a week from that closes out the non-con slate. KU hosts New Orleans Tuesday, December 29th. Dan, initial thoughts on this, and then we'll kind of get to some more storylines.
Yeah, I like the way that it's spaced out because you don't really have tough ones back to back to back, right? You have the marquee matchups that are back to back to back. You have 3 straight marquee matchups, but they're not necessarily the toughest games you're going to be playing, right? You're starting off with Fordham, that's good, and you're also going to have a Louisville exhibition in there. I would imagine they're still going to go through with that. That's not on the non-conference schedule, but we'll certainly see. So that one doesn't really count. So this is just the non-con schedule. But you got Fordham and Middle Tennessee, like starting off with those two, obviously at home. Kentucky Champions Classic, going to be interesting because you're going to be playing against Mommy out in where is it? Oh, it's in Chicago this year. That's right. So Kentucky, what do you think Kentucky's going to be this year? Are they going to be bad?
I think getting Momcilovic was huge, but probably top 25 team.
You think they're still top 25?
Let's see if Parrish has updated his...
I don't think they're top 25.
They got Momcilovic. They got Zoom Diallo.
Zoom Diallo, that's fine, but they don't really have anybody else. And Mark Pope is a bad coach.
He did update it. Let's see what he said.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If Kentucky is lower than a 6 seed this year, they fire Mark Pope. They have to.
I think that's fair.
They have
Kentucky jumped 10 spots in the top 25 and won. He's got him at 17.
He is not worth. Kentucky's not worth. No, or sorry, Milan Momcilovic is not worth 10 spots. I understand he was the best shooter in all of college basketball last year, but defensively he's not great. He's not worth 10 spots.
Parrish has Kansas at 26, by the way, so
how
barely in the top 25.
That's the thing. Like we talked about that. Like Tyron Stokes isn't even worth 10 spots. Milan Momcilovic is not worth 10 spots. Where does that tell you where Gary Parrish had Kansas before that? I mean, unless Gary Parrish had Kansas at like 50, and then they got Tyron Stokes, and then they jumped up to 26, sure, fine. But no, Milan Momcilovic is not worth 10. I don't think Kentucky's going to be good this year. I think they're going to be a 6 seed or lower in the NCAA tournament if they make it at all. And if that is the case, Mark Pope is getting fired. They're kicking him to the curb, and they're going to have to find somebody else. And that was a challenge because if you remember when that whole thing happened, Mark Pope was like their 5th option. I mean, they wanted Scott Drew. Yeah. They wanted Dan Hurley. They wanted everybody. And they kept on calling. Everyone was saying no. They're like, Mark Pope's not going to say no. I guess let's bring him in here. So yeah, I have no, like, if you're going to play somebody in the Champions Classic, I would want it to be Kentucky just because of the fact that Michigan State, I think, is going to be good again this year. I mean, they're bringing Carr back. They're bringing back Jeremy Fears.
Yeah, Duke's going to be loaded too.
And Duke's going to be loaded too. So, if you're going to play anybody in the Champions Classic, like, Kentucky's the worst team in the Champions Classic. I think Kansas is a better team than Kentucky this coming year. So, like that matchup, obviously, neutral site. Plus, Chicago feels like a KU town. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people from Chicago who come to KU and then go back to Chicago.
A lot of alums there.
A lot of alums there. So that'll be nice. And then, the players are, you have UNLV, then the winner of Auburn, West Virginia. So you have 2 games right there that aren't necessarily against the marquee, top 25 matchups, right? Then, potentially, you're going to be playing against Houston or Florida, which is what I would imagine. You're not going to be playing against Notre Dame or Rutgers. I'm sorry, Notre Dame and Rutgers. We're not going to be playing against you, okay? Then after that, you have Denver. Nice little palate cleanse before you have Villanova coming into town. Villanova, again, marquee matchup, but similar to Kentucky, they're not good. They're kind of down. Kevin Willard is a really good coach, but I don't think Villanova has the players, obviously, that it used to back when they were winning national championships in 2016, 2018, in the late 2010s, right? They were a really solid program. Then they went to the Kyle Neptune era, completely derailed that program. They brought in Kevin Willard. Now he's bringing it back to where hopefully they should be, but it's not there yet. So I love that matchup. Then you have UNI, who, I still have a sour taste in my mouth. Ali Farakmanesh, that was no fun. Then you have Mizzou, win, throttle, dominate, drubbing. Is that fair to say? UConn scares me. I don't think that's crazy to say. They won't have solo ball, so that is interesting. That really does suck for him.
Yes.
But it's going to be really weird in 2 years, like watching solo ball, because it's just like, man, I feel like he's been there forever.
Right.
It's just going to be even longer. Ohio State, another marquee matchup, quote unquote. Solid program. They were an 8 seed last year, or no, they were a 9 seed, or they were one of the. That was an 8-9 matchup. I can't remember who was
TCU.
the 8. Was TCU the 8, and then no, TCU was the 9.
TCU was the 9, yeah.
Ohio State was the 8.
I believe.
Yes. So they were an 8 seed last year. They're a relatively respectable program. That's going to be at Madison Square Garden. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then closing out with 2 bye games. Absolutely love that. Couple of nice. You hate to use the word palate cleanse again, but a nice little palate cleanse after, a couple of 3 Power 5 teams back to back to back. Indiana State and then New Orleans, heading into conference play. So yeah, I like this overall. Again, it's pretty loaded. Going to stores is not going to be very easy, and we can do the game of guess the record or whatever it may be. It's so weird to me to only see one true away game though.
Yeah. Last year, Kansas had at North Carolina.
Yeah. That
was a big thing. But this, they also went to NC State. So that's the main difference, I guess. Is instead of 2, you have 1.
Well, and technically
the
Mizzou game is an away game. Technically,
I am guessing
because
that Coach Self and the athletic department, and I have no idea, but I'm guessing they're just ready to be done with this Mizzou series. I think it's stupid.
I don't know what. Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun beating them down every year.
You remind me why you don't like it. I don't understand why you don't like it at all.
Why? What's there to like?
It's a marquee. It's
not a marquee game.
It's the biggest
Mizzou
rivalry.
Sucks.
It's
They've
the biggest rivalry.
Or never been to a Final Four.
It's good for college basketball.
No,
it's the biggest rivalry that we have.
Sunday in December, we care about it, and it's important that we win.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect the conference standings. It means a lot more when it's actually a game that affects conference standings.
Yeah, but you don't want to play Mizzou?
No.
Why?
Because I want nothing to do with them.
So you just want them to leave and you never want to see their face again?
Yes, that would be accurate.
But you don't like – I mean, it's better to just beat them every year.
No, it's great. Whatever. I don't think that's just been an eyesore on the schedule, in my opinion, because you can get a better team in there. That being said, maybe there's something to be said on the positive side of this schedule in terms of it seems to me that while it's loaded with big names and, there's a chance that you could take on like Auburn and Florida, Auburn and Houston or whatever, and there's going to be a lot of difficult games. I feel like there's also a lot of games that you're going to win, which is good for what's going to be a young Kansas team developing, trying to figure out their niche. And again, I think Kansas is better than 26th and Gary Parrish's top 25 and 1. And I know we probably say this every year, but Torvik has KU at 6.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that Parrish reads into that, and I respect what he does and his Eye on College Basketball podcast. I used to listen to that all the time, and they put in their work, and a lot of times Ken Pom Torvik numbers will tell the story on at least who's going to be in the game. But let's just look at this, and I guess I can do this from a win-loss thing, but holistically, you're going to be expected to lose to UConn, and you'll probably be expected to lose to either Florida or Houston. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So when you count these games, you've got 14. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're expected to go 12-2 at least
14.
for Kansas. I mean, you can say Kentucky's a coin flip. Ohio State's not going to be a great team, but of course they've got a big name, big brand. But 12-2, I think, is fair to say, and I think people would be okay with that. there's not a lot of, and I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about Fordham or Indiana State. Indiana State, both and Fordham, neither of them were particularly good last year, and neither was New Orleans. Denver in that same category. You and I went to the NCAA tournament, but they also were the 6th seed in the Missouri Valley. Right. So, again, I don't see quite as many sneaky, difficult games as usual on this.
Yeah, I don't.
Fordham and MTSU, I mean, there's 2 wins. Kentucky is down. I think it'll be a coin flip based on what people think about KU and Kentucky. You'll beat UNLV. Auburn, West Virginia, both those teams were fringe NCAA tournament teams last year. It's hard to read too much into that, despite what I've said, because everybody's got so much roster turnover. But I think Kansas would feel good going up against either of those programs.
Ross Hodge has done a good job. I mean,
yeah, he's been great.
Yeah,
he's been great. And you're going to see him in conference play. Same with Houston if you take them on in the championship of the Players Era 8. But yeah, Florida, they might be preseason number 1, so of course that'll be difficult. Denver's no good. You should beat them. Villanova, to your point, they have a really good coach in Kevin Willard, but you got to win that game at Allen Fieldhouse. Mm-hmm. They were on the 8-9 line last year as well. Northern Iowa, already touched on them. Missouri, soft. Charmin soft. Got to beat them at T-Mobile. At UConn, they'll be preseason top 5. And then I already touched on Ohio State, kind of one of those 8-9 type teams, and they're not anywhere to be found on anything preseason top 25 that I've seen. And then Indiana State and New Orleans also games that you got to win. So I don't know. There's just not quite as many, to me, sneaky, difficult games, and I'm kind of glad that that's the case. KU always plays an absolutely loaded schedule, and in this scenario, you can look at it and say, okay, there's a good mix of games that you absolutely should win. You got your one marquee road game. You got your marquee home game, if you will, with Villanova, even though you should still beat them. And then you got your MTE, and you got your big additional moneymakers, Champions Classic, CBS Sports Classic. It's just Missouri's the eyesore. Get that out of there and add on, either another home and home, or who knows, perhaps that's where the Diamond Cup would slot in eventually.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean, I like it. I think there's a good mix, like I said, of games that you should win and still opportunities for games where you can, build your resume and kind of be the measuring stick for where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I disagree with you about Mizzou just because, I just once a year I want this vitriol hatred to come out of me, and that's where all my energy gets thrown at. If that's not the case, then I just have nowhere for it to go. You know what I mean? I want all my hatred to get out of my body and put it directly at Mizzou, and especially because you have a former Kansas player playing for Mizzou. Now it's going to be a little bit different because, what's going to happen? You got Cole Rosario, who's back, and then Paul and Bia, who's back from last year. Those 2 guys understand it. Tyron Stokes probably doesn't really understand the Mizzou rivalry. Neither does Keanu Dawes. Neither does Leroy Blyden. None of these guys do. So, Bill Self, and he does a good job every year of kind of explaining it and explaining the history of kind of, everything that has gone on with Mizzou and throughout, the Civil War and every single game that has ever happened against Kansas and Missouri. So he's got to educate them. But I think this is going to be a bigger one just because of the fact that you have a former Kansas player on Missouri's squad, and there's going to be a lot of hatred being thrown around by both of these squads just because this is the first time that really has ever happened, right? I don't think Kansas never played Mizzou when Parker Brown was on the team, did they? No, yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. That's right. But that's different because it was Christian Brown's brother, and he also had Santa Clara in between there. Whatever, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I realistically, I'm kind of with you. I see 2 losses on this non-con schedule, right? You have all your bye games at home. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bye games. All of them are at home. You win all those. You probably cover the spread in all of those. You have Villanova at home. That should be no issue because A, Villanova's not what it used to be, and B, because it's at home, right? So you look at the home games, you go automatic wins. And that's why I think that I think that's the way that you should look at this Kansas team is that, hey, anytime that they're playing at home, that's how you should look at every single Kansas team is anytime they're playing at home, they're going to win, right? Kentucky and Chicago, again, there's probably going to be a lot of Kansas fans there, and Kentucky's down this year. They do have Momcilovic. But I think Kansas goes and wins that one. They beat UNLV. They beat whoever it's going to be between Auburn and West Virginia. And I think that I'm going to say it's a coin flip between Houston or Florida, right? I think Kansas has a better shot of beating Houston than they do Florida. Like if it's Florida, I think Florida's going to run a train through everybody. I think Florida is going to be really damn good this year. I mean, they're bringing back almost everybody from that team last year, and just a really solid program. Todd Golden's got them in a good way. So I can see that being a loss. Beat Denver, beat Villanova, beat UNI. You kick Mizzou's teeth in, and I think you lose at UConn. I mean, going to Stores is going to be tricky, tough. And Kansas, it was a really tough game last year. That's going to be a very, very tough game. Especially in Stores. And, I think Danny Hurley, he remembers the chance, which, again, disavow. So he's going to have a little bit of extra chip on his shoulder and try to beat Kansas. You beat Ohio State in Madison Square Garden, and then, you beat Indiana State, and you beat New Orleans. So realistically, I'm with you. I see two legit losses on this non-con schedule.
It won't be a layup beating Kentucky or Ohio State or Villanova like we talked about, but
you feel confident
if
about
Kansas is Kansas, I think you should walk into this and say, okay, I don't want to go worse than 12-2 because you don't want to lose any of the bye games, of course. You got to serve at home against Villanova. And, if you do go 12-2, your most likely losses are to teams that are in the top 5.
Yeah.
So, the Houston potential matchup is interesting because there have been a lot of Kansas games over the years that I don't particularly want to go back and relive. The Big 12 tournament this past season against Houston is definitely top 5.
That one has...
Of course, the ending of the one at Allen Fieldhouse the year prior.
Oh.
Kansas beat Houston at Allen Fieldhouse this year. Big Monday. KU doesn't lose conference games on Big Monday. But the disaster that took place in the Houston game to where a former Jayhawk who won't be named was getting so bullied down low by the Houston bigs to where he didn't play the entire second half because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
The individual performance by him was absolutely embarrassing. And Kansas couldn't do anything right in that game. They couldn't hit a shot at all. And I don't know what the final score was. I think KU got to 47. I think it was 69-47 or something. Big 12 tournament. I don't want to relive that. Kansas will take on Houston at least once in conference play. I'm guessing it'll only be once, particularly because you might face them in the Players era. Maybe we want to see them in Vegas again just to get that memory out. But it'll be interesting potentially facing two Big 12 teams in the non-con.
I will say this. I don't think I've talked about this on the show. I'm pretty sure we played it on the show. And I don't know if anybody's going to remember this, but after the Houston game, I'll go ahead and say it was Bryson Tiller. I had a one-on-one with him in the locker room after the game. And I asked him, and I said, hey, was there any message from Coach Self whenever you got put on the bench? What was the message? What did you see out there? And he just said, no. He's soft. I mean, he's absolutely soft. I don't think he handled it very well. He is not a strong-minded individual, and we saw that a lot last year. But when you look at the Houston Bigs, because they're bringing JoJo Tugler back, right? Chris Nack Jr., I believe, is coming back.
No, sir.
No,
NBA
he's not.
draft.
He's NBA draft. Okay, sure. But still, they have JoJo Tugler. But you like the guys down low right now, at least in terms of their physical toughness, better than the guys last year, right? Keanu Dawes, tough son of a gun.
He got 22 and 12 on the two guys that Kansas had in the front court last year.
Absolutely. He was the best big out there on the court last year against Kansas's two bigs, that Sean refuses to name. You also have Christian Reeves. If he stays healthy, if he is able to get through, what he's going through right now, that's great. Paul Mbia is only going to get better. So I like Kansas's chances against Houston this year. I think Houston's going to be down a little bit this year too. Not just in terms of what they were last year. I think Kansas has a good opportunity. Again, if it's going to be Florida, I think Kansas loses that. But if it's going to be Houston, I think Kansas could potentially win that and go 13-1 and probably come out as a top 5 team heading into conference play.
I do love a good MTE. I love Feast Week, and that'll be here before we know it. Extended Feast Week, November 17th. Tuesday, starting a 3-day, 3-game deal for Kansas at the Players Era 8. And then the following week, when Kansas has 2 home games, other teams will be in Vegas participating in the Players Era 16.
Does it make you upset that the Feast Week game, because I kind of assumed that the Feast Week game was going to be, I guess technically Feast Week is Denver and Villanova, right?
Yeah.
So does it make
technically, but again, I extend it.
Does it make you upset? I can't remember if we talked about this or not. Does it make you upset that Kansas is not in an MTE during Feast Week and instead we're in the week before?
Not really, honestly, because obviously, with our game day coverage, not only for Kansas Nation, but for my Learfield gig on the Jayhawk Radio Network,
frees up your Thanksgiving
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about the schedule that we should point out, because I know fans care about this, there are no crossovers between football and basketball. I mean, closest is November 27th, the Friday home game against Villanova, and then Saturday, November 28th, Kansas football is at Oklahoma State. But otherwise, I don't see any crossover on that. So that's interesting and important to some. Hey, we're talking KU baseball after this on Rock Chalk Sports as we roll on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Miles Schneider and his team over at Crown Automotive will get you in the vehicle that you need. They're our founding partners, Kansas Nation. And whether you're shopping new or used, they can help you out. They've got a great selection, Toyotas, Volkswagens. Check them out on South Iowa in Lawrence or visit them online at crownautomotive.com. Appreciate Miles and his fantastic service and sales staff over there at Crown. KU baseball set to host the Super Regionals for the first time ever. There are 16 teams remaining in the NCAA tournament. Now it's a best-of-3 series in each of this upcoming round's matchups, and then the 8 that emerge from the Super Regionals will go to Omaha for the College World Series. Kansas has not been there since 1993. And Dan, as the higher-seeded team of the 2 teams, Kansas and Oklahoma, KU gets to host the Sooners, who, of course, a couple years ago departed the Big 12 for the SEC.
Yes, should be a lot of fun, So I was looking back at it. I'm pretty sure it's the last time that Kansas played Oklahoma was that Big 12 tournament semifinal when Kansas was up 6-0 in the 6th inning, and OU stormed all the way back and wound up winning that game. I think it was 8-6 was the final score. I asked Fitz about it yesterday. He said that's back in the past. There's only a couple of guys, whole brand new teams everywhere, and Fitz is so good with his answers, and I think he's always so genuine too, and I think he genuinely he gives those coach speak answers where he's like, yeah, I'm just one game at a time. That's literally how his brain works, though. He doesn't think about that kind of stuff. He doesn't think about revenge or the get back games or whatever. It's just hey, we got a game in front of us. This is the scout on these guys. Let's just try to go out there and beat them. And Kansas is a better team as of right now. OU's pretty good, and we have some odds to win in terms of the last 16 teams available in the not the College World Series, but in the Division I baseball championships. Kansas, as of right now, where it sits, they're the 7th ranked team in terms of odds to win, according to PEAR ratings or PEA ratings. PEAR. I'm assuming it's PEAR. Mm-hmm. It has a picture of a pear.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good assumption.
So right now, Georgia, they're the favorite to go to Omaha at least. They have a 70.1% chance to go to Omaha, 30.9% chance to go to the finals, and then a 20.5% chance to win the national championship. The highest odds to go to Omaha, though, is actually Alabama. They have a 93.7% chance to make it to Omaha, but only an 8% chance to win the national championship. Kansas, for what it's worth, they have a 67.7% chance to make it to Omaha.
Kansas, they go to Omaha.
They have an 11.3% chance to go to the finals and a 5.3% chance to win the national championship. So where it sits right now, that's the 7th best odds to win the national championship. Oklahoma, they have a 32.3% chance. I guess if you take 67.7 and 32.3, that makes sense.
It does.
As to why that is. But in terms of making it to the final, they have a 3.6% chance and a 1.4% chance to win the national championship. For what it's worth, Little Rock and St. John's are way down there, unfortunately, for the little guys. St. John's, it is so weird to see them in the Sweet 16. I mean, they just got really lucky, I think. But, it is what it is. And, it's strange to see Oregon. Oregon, right now, they're the 11th ranked team, or the 11th best odds to win the national championship. Above them is an unranked Ole Miss team and an unranked Southern California team. Because, as you know, they only rank the top 16 teams because of their regional rankings, right? So you have Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, Auburn. West Virginia is actually above Alabama. And then Alabama, Kansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Southern Cal, and then Oregon. And then underneath them is the rest. OU, Troy, Cal Poly, Little Rock, and St. John's.
How about that? Kansas with an opportunity now to take on a familiar foe in Oklahoma. Dan mentioned on the show yesterday the game that Coach Fitz spoke of. If you were watching the show yesterday, you saw the press conference with Coach Fitz where Oklahoma was ahead of KU. KU was actually ahead in this game, though, 5-0.
Yeah.
Correct?
It was 6-0.
6-0 at one point.
It was 6-0
okay,
in
Fitz
the
said
sixth.
5-0, but 6-0 was the lead.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma ends up coming back and winning. Oklahoma was the top seed in the Big 12 tournament, and Kansas was a program on the rise. It was year 2 of Coach Dan Fitzgerald, but Kansas went a long time without even winning a game or qualifying for the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward to where we're at, that was a heartbreaker. But 2 years later, Kansas baseball, Big 12 outright regular season champions, Big 12 tournament champions, Lawrence regional champions, and hosting a super regional. So got to be very interesting for a few players, a few coaches, and some staff members for Oklahoma getting on that bus or that charter flight from Norman and heading to Lawrence, Kansas for a super regional, something that they probably thought never would happen. But it's what Dan Fitzgerald has done, the culture that he has brought to KU, and the talent evaluation that he, John Coyne, and other members of the KU baseball program have had. Wanted to look at Oklahoma's schedule really quick, and we'll break them down later this week, but OU did right away this season at Globe Life Field participate in a little MTE, if you will, against 3 teams from the Big 12. Oklahoma defeated Texas Tech, who, of course, finished 12th in the 14-team Big 12. 10-3, the Sooners won. OU then had a nice win over Oklahoma State, 10-1 in Bedlam, and then against number 10 TCU, Oklahoma also won that 12-2. So a couple different ways that you can look at this, because Oklahoma, of course, you have the 14-16 record, under 500. I get it, but SEC, they're different in baseball. They get a lot of teams. LSU and Vanderbilt didn't even make the NCAA tournament, and those are traditional baseball powers. And of course, they've got a slew of teams in the super regionals do the SEC. They also, I want to point this out, had a 2-game series against Arizona State. OU lost game 1 15-3 in 7 innings against a top 4 finish Arizona State team, and then ASU got them 4-3. So a little bit of familiarity with the Big 12 Conference. The current Big 12 Conference does Oklahoma have. I should point out some of the other series that they have against really quality SEC teams. Of course, you played teams like Texas A&M, like LSU, but top-tier teams, some of which you spoke of, Dan, in talking about those percentages. Oklahoma got swept by Texas, run ruled 14-0, and then a couple of extra inning 1-run losses. That was at Austin. And then Oklahoma additionally had a 2-3 loss series to Alabama, who at times was ranked number 16 in the country. They did win a series against Vanderbilt. They also had a loss later in the season to Oklahoma State in the Big 12. Unsurprisingly, Oklahoma swept Mizzou. Wanted to get that in there. And they also had a series loss to Auburn, another favorite to go to the College World Series and compete for a national championship, as OU dropped 2 of 3 to the Tigers. Against Florida, another team thought very highly of, quality team. Oklahoma dropped 2 of 3. And then they also did face Arkansas, who Kansas just defeated back-to-back days. And Arkansas got them 2 out of 3, 12-2 in 7 innings in a run rule, and then 12-8. OU did salvage the final game of that series in Fayetteville, defeating Arkansas, who was ranked 17th at the time, 15-10. So it's not surprising. Probably the most impressive wins on the year for Oklahoma are the ones they just had against Georgia Tech in Atlanta, having to win 2 to advance to the Super Regional, and they did that. So a really quality program, a quality athletic department, and it's going to be a challenge for KU.
Yeah, absolutely right. And, you look towards the back half of it, and they wound up losing. I want to say it was, 1, 2, 3, 4 straight series in the SEC. They also lost their first game in the SEC tournament to LSU 6-2, who, again, didn't make the NCAA tournament, which is interesting. But yeah, you look at Tennessee, a really solid program as well. They wound up losing that one. They lost to Arkansas, which I think is important to note, because if you look at Arkansas and you look at their starting pitchers, right, it makes a little bit of sense. And getting run ruled, I would imagine Hunter Dietz probably went on that Friday against Oklahoma. They lost 12-2 in a run rule game like that. Lost 8-12, and then they wound up winning 15-10. But also Arkansas, as we know, has a lack of depth at their pitching staff. So I would imagine Arkansas did a lot of that, where they would win the first 2 and then lose the third game, or at least win the first game and then lose the next 2, right? But Oklahoma started off this season really, really hot, like you said, with those first 3 wins against Big 12 teams in kind of easy fashion, right? 10-3 against Texas Tech, not a good team. 10-1 against Oklahoma State, really good, relatively good team. And then TCU, who was number 10 at the time, beat them 12-2. And then they had a 2-game stretch in the beginning of the year where they beat Coppin State 21-1 in a run rule, and then 24-0 in a run rule. And then also another run rule game against Coppin State, 11-0. Then, like you said, they lost their first game of the year against Arizona State, 15-3 in a run rule, and they were really hot to start the year against Texas A&M. They won that series. They won the series against LSU, who was really good at the time. They got swept by Texas, like you said. They lost to Alabama. So this is sort of a middle to upper tier SEC team with solid pitching. They can hit some home runs, but they also are prone to giving up home runs too. But a really well-rounded and just a solid SEC program that you look at the sub 500 record in the SEC, and I don't want to, fuel the fire of the SEC bias. But again, like, you're sub 500 in the SEC, it is the SEC. Like, there are really solid programs in there, and OU has really picked it up here late, especially in the postseason, and has been playing some really good baseball. They beat a smoking hot Georgia Tech team, who, again, I thought kept Mason Patel in the game a little bit too long. To me, that was more of an error on the coaching staff, keeping him in for as long as they did. But this OU team is going to be really good, but it's at Kansas. Kansas is playing the best baseball right now out of anybody in America. I'll take our guys. You said this yesterday. I'll take our guys in a 3-game series against anybody right now.
Yeah, that's what they've done. All they've done is win series, and the vibes have been up. The crowd was fantastic at the regionals at Hoagland Ballpark. It's going to be even better this upcoming weekend. Saturday at 5, Sunday at 5, and if necessary, they'll play again on Monday, and that time will be to be determined. So best 2 out of 3, the winner goes to the College World Series. We're going to ask Greeny about that here in a little bit, but next we're going to divert a little bit, update you on some things going on in the NFL world. That's next. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com will join us here very shortly. But as of right now, we're going to talk a little NFL. I want to tell you, of course, about Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. You can hustle in and save hundreds on Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment, partners of us here at Kansas Nation. More on that here very shortly. But, Dan, time to update everybody in the NFL world. Big time trade happened yesterday that kind of shockwaves.
Yeah, so a huge trade happened. Did it happen yesterday or happened 2 days ago? I think it happened yesterday.
I believe it was yesterday.
Yes. So Myles Garrett going to Henry Greenstein's
That's right.
former place of residence, L.A. Shout out. This is crazy. So essentially what happened is Los Angeles traded for Myles Garrett, the reigning defensive player of the year, who is 30 years old, I believe.
Yes.
30 years old right now.
Because we were curious.
So he is 30 years old. Traded to LA. They wound up giving away Jared Verse and a first-round draft pick to the Cleveland Browns. I like this trade, I think, for both teams. This, to me, feels like a kind of even trade because it kind of suits what's happening with both teams right now, right? Because the Browns need draft capital, number one. And number two, the Browns are getting what I would say is a younger defensive end and a top 10 defensive end in the league right now. Jared Verse, I think, is one of those kind of unicorns where if you're looking to trade away your grizzled veteran who only has a few years left at being a high-caliber pass rusher, being a for sure dominant guy. Yeah, Myles Garrett's going to have a few more years where he's going to be the best, by far and away, the best pass rusher in all of the NFL. But Jared Verse is younger. I believe he's only 24 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So you have a longer lifespan with Jared Verse, and you get the draft capital as well. But for the Rams are going all in on this year. If you look at what they have right now with Puka Nacua, right? You look at, the running backs are really good. They have the reigning NFL MVP in Matthew Stafford, who I think is still going to be really good this upcoming year, right? You look at the defensive side of the ball, they spent a lot of money on Trent McDuffie, who is, it was really unfortunate for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs managed to, get out of Dodge with that, right? I mean, the Chiefs got some good stuff, and Chiefs need some more. I mean, they were able to boost their secondary with the Mansour Delane pick, right? But we're not talking about the Chiefs right now. We're talking about the LA Rams. The LA Rams have put in all of their chips in the table and saying, hey, we're going to win this year. As of right now, and I guess I haven't looked this up. I'm going to look this up on DraftKings really quick.
I would think they're the favorites.
I would imagine that they are going to be the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Oh, my gosh.
You got Stafford, who's coming off the best season of his career.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams is a top 10 running back in the league. You've got, like you said, McDuffie and Myles Garrett. I mean, I'll be shocked if they're not.
It's not even close.
Really.
The preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl, Rams are plus 550. Guess who the second is? It's a tie for second.
Seattle?
No. Actually, it's the Bills and the Ravens plus 1,000.
Oh, my God.
So almost half of the odds for the LA Rams compared to the Bills and the Ravens, which Ravens...
That's some pressure on Sean McVay.
Absolutely it is. But here's the thing. Sean McVay's already won one. And Sean McVay's also like a crazy psychopath who is just like a football guy through and through. He also has like a photographic memory. Do you know this? Where like...
I believe
if you could be like, hey, week 12 against the 49ers with like 3 minutes left in the third quarter, second down, what'd you call there? He'll tell you exactly what he called.
Some sports guys are built a little different.
It's just unbelievable.
For what it's worth, Seattle is right after that. They're plus 1,100.
They are. And the Chiefs are right behind that at plus 1,500.
Plus 1,500. But, you rarely, in the NFL, when on any given week, the biggest point spread you'll see is like 7. Every game is one possession because the teams are so good. You will never see a futures with that big of a jump. But, the Rams at plus 550 because, again, I think you look at their roster and you've got the two guys I mentioned offensively, Stafford, which maybe he'll take a step back.
Right.
I mean, he's not getting any younger. But you got Stafford and Kyron Williams. And again, quarterbacks, they can play old, right? Brady proved that. Peyton Manning, until that last year, proved that. Drew Brees proved that. And now Stafford is playing his best. And they got a great offensive line. But you've got Stafford and Kyron Williams. And then Puka Nacua is, again, probably a top 5 wide receiver.
And they have Devontae Adams still.
Right.
And Devontae Adams is 33 years old, but still, I mean, he's got some juice left in him.
And then on the flip side, I mean, obviously they're going to be high on Trent McDuffie, and they're going to be high on Myles Garrett. I think that's a crazy good trade for them in the short term. We'll see what happens. I think if you're the Browns, you at least got a first-round pick, and a guy who's 25 years old and Jared Verse that you think, probably – if the Browns have a timeline, I don't know if they ever have a timeline, but if they have a timeline, it ain't now. And
No.
you get a guy who's 5 years younger than Myles Garrett. Maybe he won't be as productive, but still, he's a young player in the league plus a first-round pick. I mean, those don't grow on trees. So
Yeah.
there's that. And
Also, the LA Rams, by the way, I forgot about this. They drafted Darrell Peterson III.
That's right.
Who is
Shout
Darren
out.
Peterson's brother
Yes.
out of Wisconsin.
Yes.
Totally forgot about that.
Darryl?
Shout out. Darrell Peterson.
Good for
Shout
them.
out to him. No, they're going to be good. Look, here's the thing. I don't think that there's anybody I don't know. It's safe to put money on the Rams to at least win the NFC West, who is going to be, again, they're going to be a good – that's going to be one of the best divisions that we see. Like, the Cardinals are bad. Sure, whatever. Like, 49ers, I think, are going to be back.
Rams are plus 110. Seahawks are plus 196.
See, that's the thing. The Seahawks are going to be good. The Seahawks did lose Kenneth Walker, but they still have really good pieces around them. They have JSN, Sam Darnold. I think that this is a nice career resurgence for Sam Darnold, and I think that he's going to be continuing to play football at a very high level, especially when you give him those weapons that he has. Cooper Kupp's still around, right? Their defense has been phenomenal all year long, but the Rams, I think it's not crazy to say that they're going to win the NFC West.
I don't know, man. The Seahawks have Bryce Cabeldue. They've got Logan Brown. They've got Emmanuel Henderson, and they've got Levi Wentz.
That's true.
I mean, that's four right there. That is four weapons that the Rams don't have.
That is very true.
Seahawks love them a Jayhawk, man.
They do. I'm actually glad because I never liked the Seahawks because of Tyler Lockett. But now
Yeah.
they've hard pivoted to KU guys,
Yeah.
which is fine. That's fine by me.
A.J. Brown. A lot of
Yeah.
smiles on the practice field yesterday as he, as we expected, was officially traded to the Patriots. I think this leaves a huge hole for the Philadelphia Eagles, whichever angle you want to go at here, Dan. Eagles have a lot of really good young players, and they seem to hit in the draft pretty well. They've got Devontae Smith, and, of course, Jalen Hurts has proven to be a really solid player, and obviously they've got Saquon. So they're going to be okay. But I do think, there's only so many guys from like a body type, skill set standpoint on the outside that are like A.J. Brown. There are some. DK Metcalf comes to mind, and guys who are big and also fast and can high point a ball, good route runners and all that. So I think that's kind of a big loss for the Eagles. Granted, there's the off-the-field stuff and the drama, and I get all of that, and that's a factor. But Patriots got to be feeling great about this because they didn't have anybody. I mean, you can't have 5 Matt Collins out there and try to win a Super Bowl. They had a great year. They didn't have to beat anybody good, really, to get to the Super Bowl, but they did get to the Super Bowl, and now they add a star wide receiver, so a good proactive move for them.
Well, I think that's the thing. When you look at the Patriots and you look at, the biggest thing for them is, they had Drake May, but, not a lot of high caliber weapons to throw to him, right? He had Kayshon Boutte, which really, good wide receiver, but maybe not the wide receiver that you really wanted. They also got Romeo Doubs from the Packers this year, that's going to be really interesting to see kind of how he fits in there. Mac Hollins is a serviceable wide receiver. He's not a Pro Bowl style
Can't
guy.
have 5 of them.
Right, exactly, right? So with A.J. Brown coming over to the Patriots, I mean, I'm sure Shreyas Ladd is still popping champagne somewhere, and I saw him posting all over it. He was like, "We made it out of the mud." Dude, the Patriots were never in the mud, okay? So just knock that off. That's whatever. But, I think this is a good pickup, obviously, for the Patriots. This thing has been kind of in the works for a long time. As we know, there's some insider details where everyone thought that they were going to get them. Also, it's a reunion, right? I mean, A.J. Brown was there when A.J. Brown was in Tennessee when Mike Vrabel was the head coach of Tennessee, right? So he knows how to utilize A.J. Brown in his, kind of style of coaching, and, they obviously go way back. So that is interesting. I think A.J. Brown's going to be a big time for them. The Eagles wind up getting a 2028 first-round draft pick, which I think is interesting.
Still a first-rounder.
It's still a first-rounder. That's true.
They're going to be relying this upcoming season heavily on Smith, but then Mekhi Lemon also, who they got in the
yes, that's
the
right.
draft.
They got Mekhi Lemon, so that's going to be a nice little trade-off because, they're not going to have to pay A.J. Brown a ton of money, and, they're getting Mekhi Lemon, who has a really high upside, I think. I think him to me was one of, if not the best wide receiver I thought in that draft class this year. I think he's got a really, really high upside, and the way that they're going to be able to utilize him kind of in that style of offense, I think is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, like you said, they have Devontae Smith, they still have Saquon, so it's going to be kind of a packed box. Jalen Hurts can run. Eagles have a really good defense. So I think these two trades, to me, feel like washes. I really like the way that these two trades kind of worked out.
Worked out well for both teams, which is how it should work, but we'll see, especially once those first-round selections are made. Eagles left tackle and captain Jordan Mailata told many people how he felt about this. He said, quote, "I think this is more of a, it sounds terrible, but like, thank God it's over. It was a slow pain of just, is he in, is he out? We didn't really know, and that really wasn't our focus as a team, our team, especially on offense," end quote. Mailata said that yesterday via ESPN. A.J. Brown away from Philly. He is going to New England. And, that's the big story in the NFL. That, and, of course, Myles Garrett to the Rams, who are now the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. Hey, at Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment, get up to $1,000 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with approved credit. Offer ends June 30th. For details and big savings, see Heinen Repair in Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence. After this, in studio, Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World, talking KU baseball, basketball, and more. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com. Sean Kellerman, Dan Corright, back with you. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com. Dan, tell everybody about KansasNation.com and all of our socials.
Love to tell you about KansasNation.com. Check out KansasNation.com for all of the best Kansas coverage around. Plus, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms as well. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at The Kansas Nation. Kansas Nation on Facebook. Kansas Nation on YouTube. All of our shows are going to be up there. You can watch Sean and I 5 days a week from 4 to 6 on YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Also check it out on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. But we also have Between Two Fountains, the Time Out with Tyshawn Taylor podcast, Legends of Kansas podcast with B-Mac and Chris Harris, Inside KU with Laney Boger, and a whole lot more. All kinds of coverage. We're going to be covering KU baseball. Sean and I are going to be a little busy this weekend, so we're going to have some other people covering KU baseball, but we will make sure that you get.
We're
the best
certainly not
content.
going to give you names.
No, we're not going to give you names.
People are.
No, we're not going to give you names. We're not going to tell you who is going out there.
Just know it's taken care of.
It is taken care of.
Yes.
Absolutely. It will be taken care of, so don't you worry. But yeah, be sure to check all that out. KansasNation.com and Kansas Nation on all of our social media platforms.
Choppering in from the Golden State, it's Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal-World. Henry, thanks for joining us in studio. Again, as you do every Wednesday, be thinking right now about a mailbag question, because we're going to need that for you before you leave. We're not going to let you press the big green button and get out of here until you have a mailbag question for us.
You'll need it from Hank.
Yeah, from Hank.
Hank.
Perfect. A friend of yours. Well, baseball news, basketball news. Let's start on the diamond. What an unbelievable weekend at Hoagland Ballpark. And then Oklahoma comes from behind, knocks off Georgia Tech 8-7 in walk-off fashion. Georgia Tech was expected to be the host of the Super Regional, number 2 team overall. But you couple the success Kansas had sweeping their way through the Lawrence Regional with Oklahoma knocking off the Yellow Jackets. And here we are, down to the Final 16, hosting the Sooners.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable the way the whole thing has panned out. I don't think anyone foresaw Oklahoma getting through a winner-take-all Game 7 against the best offense in the country, but when Georgia Tech decided to leave in Mason Patel as long as they did, they gave OU a chance. I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy.
And they had a lefty warm, and they just kept leaving him out there the more and more hits he allowed. And, he was able to exit with a lead, but it gave OU a chance to get back into the game. And suddenly you're asking your Friday starter to be in a position he's not used to, go out there and close out a game with a 1-run lead. So it should have been to no one's surprise when he almost lost the game straight up in the 9th. And then, of course, Chalky comes through with the walk-off home run. I was talking to someone the other day who said this KU run kind of reminds them of the 2022 basketball season in the way that everything is lining up for KU, like the amount of breaks they've caught with other teams. But, the ultimate result is a Lawrence Super Regional, something that I don't think any of us even would have conceived of when KU was doing well this year.
He certainly didn't when he scheduled his wedding.
No.
No. I did not.
You guys will have some anonymous people out there. I, too, will have an anonymous other person.
There we go.
There on Saturday helping out. But, no, I don't think anyone would have thought of this except maybe for the players in the program who have done the work to get to this point. And man, it was really impressive seeing them kind of churn through the Lawrence Regional last weekend. The number of clutch hits that Tyson LeBlanc delivered, Bodie Ray pitching on 3 straight days for the first time in his college career. I think I joked on that last day he was pitching like he wanted the game to be over, which he sort of was, but it ended up working. So, yeah, just insanely impressive. And as I've said to a couple people, one of the most impressive seasons by a non-men's basketball program at KU ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And, let's rewind a little bit and kind of relive the NCAA regional that was. Kansas, didn't face off against Missouri State. They saw Northeastern once and then Arkansas twice. And, it feels like every single year, and no matter what sport it is, you're lined up with Arkansas every time in the postseason. And you had Hunter Dietz go out there in the first one, and you thought, man, he's so good. 14 strikeouts for Dietz, but Kansas wound up clipping him on that one. And then the lack of pitching depth, I think, kind of came to fruition in that second game. And granted, it was the second game of a doubleheader for Arkansas, so they were kind of put in a tough situation as well. But kind of walk us through what happened in the NCAA regional and how Kansas was able to get it done.
Yeah, I think you make a great point with the lack of pitching depth. I don't want to be too mean, but I cannot believe that they sent James DeCramer out there for a second straight day.
He had 2 straight days with a bases-loaded walk that scored a run.
I know. I feel bad, but he was clearly the most rattled by the moment of any Arkansas pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that they saw what happened on Saturday, and then when they were in another big moment said, you know who we should bring in here? I think we should go to DeCramer. The fact that they did that again on a second straight day and it produced the same result was some rough management on Arkansas's point, especially when the righty they brought in later, Lee, ended up actually doing pretty well.
Yeah.
In comparison. So all that is to say, I think that as it has on so many weekends, Dominic Vagley being able to go 7 innings gave KU an advantage for the remainder of the regional.
Yeah.
The fact that they only had to use Bodie Ray that day and that they only really had to use Ryan Ritter and Bodie Ray the second day gave them so many great options to the point that Fitz could make sort of an unprecedented by his standards decision in pulling Nayrol after 1 inning. He never does that.
No.
Yeah. So, and that ended up being incredibly important because – if he stays in there, who knows how many runs Arkansas gets. As it was, Toby Scheidt didn't do that great either. It ends up being 5-0. But when they finally found Manning West to stabilize it, it wasn't like some insurmountable deficit. Like, it wasn't like they were down 12-0 or something. And as it turned out, KU only needed 1 inning to get through that. So, yes, I think that Fitz always says that the most important stat for a pitcher is innings pitched. And I think that with Vagley, it was a clear demonstration of why he sees things that way, and I have no doubt he'll be counted on to go a long ways again against OU.
Yeah, Kansas and Oklahoma, 3-game set, I guess. It's a best of 3, so if one team wins the first 2, you don't play on Monday. But 5 o'clock first pitch, both Saturday and Sunday. And I guess talk more about the heroics of Tyson LeBlanc, because it's one thing to, have a big series, but to your point, every homer he had was huge for Kansas in this one. 3-1 on, Saturday. He comes up against one of the best pitchers in the country in Hunter Dietz and deposits one in the stands. It's 3-3. He hits a homer in each of the 3 games. And then the 3-run homer on Sunday, which, again, you're down 3-1 against Arkansas Saturday. If you lose, you're not out of it. You're down 5-0 against Arkansas on Sunday. If you lose, you're not out of it. But you could also come back and win. Like, these guys, winning is what they know, and the 3-run homer on Sunday gave Kansas the lead. It's one thing to have 24 homers and 60-whatever games, but it's another to have a knack for the dramatic, and that is what Tyson LeBlanc has. And understandably, he got most outstanding player just as he did in the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, it's funny. I've said this on a couple things too, but all year, all we talked about was this is such a balanced lineup. Anyone can be the hero in any given game. Well, as they say, you need your stars to play like stars when the lights are brightest. And LeBlanc has now hit a home run in every postseason game KU has played except for the West Virginia game, because he had them against Baylor and Oklahoma State too.
That's crazy.
That's how you break a single season record. And I really think it can't be stressed enough. Like, this was a guy who he hit like 360 something at Eunice as a freshman, and then and they won the national title. And then as a sophomore, 11 home runs, which is great as a shortstop. But he was like a stolen base guy. Like he had like 40 steals at Eunice last year. So the fact that he's now become the best single season power hitter in KU history is kind of crazy, and a testament to the work he's put in, and to Tyler Hancock and Ryan Holland and all those guys for the work that they do to optimize the players they have. But yeah, he's become a bona fide star, and he was number 130 on the MLB draft rankings. You have to think he's surging up there has a chance to be one of the highest drafted Jayhawks ever in July.
Yeah. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World joins the show here in studio. And OU, it feels a little different just because of the fact that it's Oklahoma. They left the Big 12, and the last time you played them, kind of lost in dramatic fashion. I asked Fitz about it, and I actually believe that Fitz is like this, where he's just kind of like, whatever, the past is the past. But last time KU played against OU, Kansas is up 6-0 in the sixth inning, and then OU comes back and wins the game in the Big 12 semifinal. And, living in this part of the country, you don't like OU. You don't like them one bit. And now they're cowards because they left to go to the SEC. Tell me what you know about OU and just kind of, the I don't know what's at stake right now. Obviously, we know what's at stake is to go to Omaha, right? But it's a little bit bigger than that. And then, tell me what you know about Oklahoma and this ball club that they have.
Yeah, I think any KU fan would have taken being 2 games from Omaha, needing to win a best of 3 against a team that tied for 11th in the SEC.
Absolutely.
Just from that perspective, this panned out quite nicely for KU. Oklahoma, though, still a solid team. They have some excellent players. They run a lot. Their stolen base numbers are comparable to Cincinnati or West Virginia. They've got speed on the base paths. LaChance, the man they call Big Maple, is their home run leader. He's from Quebec.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. He should pronounce it La Chance.
You think
we've got LeBlanc in here.
Yeah. LaChan.
They've been saying LaChance on all the broadcasts, and it just doesn't seem right to me. But it's his name, I
also,
guess.
Side note, Maple Jordan for Andrew Wiggins is a great nickname.
Yeah, but I don't think that really lasted when he got into the pros.
No,
hey, you know what? He's put in service. He's put in years.
Wait, are you talking about former NBA champion Andrew Wiggins?
No, I'm just saying no one calls him Maple Jordan.
Oh, right.
Nobody
That's
does.
true.
What would be like a contemporaneous player from the Jordan era to compare to Andrew Wiggins' career?
Maple Dominique Wilkins.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Yeah, so OU, one weird thing about them is they have not really had a lot of consistency in terms of their starting rotation. You look at guys like Johnson, the lefty, and you see, he's got a 4-something ERA, good stats, he must be pretty good. Well, he only pitched once in the Atlanta Regional, and he had 0 innings with 2 earned runs given up. They started freshmen in 3 of the games, and one of them, it was his first start ever, and he went 7 innings with Slosky. So they've been a little bit all over the place. And I think the player who exemplifies that most is Jackson Cleveland, who got shelled against Georgia Tech on Sunday night and then went 3 2/3 scoreless, hitless against Georgia Tech on Monday.
Really good on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So their pitching has been a little bit of a question mark. And, of course, no SEC pitchers are going to have very good stats because they're playing in the SEC and they have to see teams like Georgia. But that being said, they may be a little, kind of like Arkansas, they may be a little vulnerable. But they're clutch. They have a player whose name is Walk, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
Their leadoff hitter, Jason Walk. And, they'll throw a lot of different looks at the Jayhawks, and I'm sure it'll be another challenge, and I'm sure their fans will represent well, much like Arkansas's did, and it should all make for a pretty competitive and exciting series with a trip to Omaha on the line, which is just crazy to think about.
Does Kansas have the pitching depth if something goes wrong on Saturday to where Fitz has to have an earlier than he hopes hook on Dom Vagley? Because you do have some bullets you can use, but at the same time, there's a line. I think with any team, there's a line of you don't want to go beneath that line. And, Mason Cook gave Kansas enough innings, I would say, in the second game of the regional against Arkansas. And you were able to have Ritter out there. Bodie pitched in all 3 games. I'm sure he would do that. No questions asked. But is there enough behind those guys? Because there are a lot of guys we didn't see, although Fitz did say, should Kansas have played on Monday, those guys certainly could have answered the call.
I think there's a little bit more than what we saw, but not that much. On the one hand, you have Cannon Carr, who didn't pitch all through the last series, and I kind of thought he would. But I guess maybe their idea was if we have to go to Monday, that's who our starter will be.
Sure.
That may be the case. We'll see in this series if what Nayral's role is exactly, and if he gets to start again. You can't really discount the body of work he had for much of the season, but he's also looked pretty shaky recently. But I think Cannon Carr, you feel pretty good about. If you go beyond that, that's when it starts to get a little shaky in terms of people they didn't use. Carter Fink has had moments. He was an all-conference starter at East Tennessee State, but for whatever reason just hasn't worked his way into, kind of the circle of trust for this year's team. But when you start talking about some of the matchup lefty guys they have, like Caleb Deere and Ty Thompson stuff, then you're getting into territory that's a little bit uncertain, and you really have no idea what those guys are going to give you. Fortunately for KU, this series can only possibly go 3 games, so it seems relatively unlikely they'd have to get to that point. It's not like in a regional where you're working for contingencies that would never come up during the conference season.
Right.
So I do think they're in pretty good shape. I think Ritter could go even more innings than he did in the Lawrence Regional, and I think not having used Cannon Carr at all and the fact that West only went 3 innings, there's reason to believe KU can cover for slightly longer quantities of innings if they need to against the Sooners.
Yeah, well said. And again, hopefully that's not the case, at least on Saturday, because Vagley has been so solid, not just for getting that important innings pitched category, but for contributing. He's got the swing and miss, and the ERA has been on the rise. Should I put it that way? Improving. We'll just say improving.
On the downs.
Yeah, it's like
it's
like a golf score, right?
Yeah.
A little confusing, but no, he's been great. Shaky
Hopefully the ERA is
first
on the rise.
month or so of the season for Vagley, and he's been one of the best pitchers in the country since then. KU in Oklahoma Saturday, Sunday, and if necessary, Monday. Would be unbelievable if Kansas can get a series win and go to the College World Series. Henry, let's talk a little KU basketball. The non-con schedule was released. What were your initial thoughts, whether you want to say dates or MTEs or quality of opponents or the one road game? Initial thoughts when you saw this come out?
Well, we already knew most of it, which I think was not necessarily the case. I think last year we didn't know they were playing UConn until the day that the schedule was released.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like any super exciting breaking. I didn't realize the UConn game was going to be on December 12th. That's a little later than I anticipated. And it looks like they still haven't decided whether it's going to be in Stores or Hartford. I don't know if that really matters all that much, but you have to think that an on-campus feel at Gamble would be more exciting than the XL Center or whatever it's called now in Hartford. They went back to having a non-conference game after the holiday break. They didn't do that the last 2 years. I was a little surprised to see that. The New Orleans game. They could potentially have chosen to do what they did last year and pack in one additional bye game before going to the holidays, and then they wouldn't have had to play between the 22nd and January 2nd, which wouldn't have been insanely long. So I was a little surprised they chose to do that. But I'm sure KU fans will be totally normal about playing Northern Iowa.
Right. The one thing about that big gap with having the additional non-con after Christmas is, remember, last year Kansas was terrible in the Big 12 opener.
That's true, actually.
So you had that long stretch, and I'm sure that wasn't nothing to Coach Self and everybody who does scheduling. Maybe you want to get back in the gym before opening conference play. So.
Yeah, but on the whole, I think it's fine. I'm a little surprised still by the way things worked out with the Villanova game. I still think Black Friday at night is a weird time for a game. And, when they played Duke in the Vegas Showdown a couple years back, that was like a big branded event. I feel like if you have your multi-team event the week before Thanksgiving, you might as well try to do something more grand with your Thanksgiving week game. But I did not make these decisions. Sean Lester did, and I already praised him for putting Villanova on the schedule, so I can't criticize too much. And on the whole, Self has talked a lot in recent years, or not a lot, but from time to time, about how when you play a schedule as difficult as they do, it makes it hard to incorporate all of your rotation and give those, or all of your potential rotation and give those players chances. well, this schedule should be at least a little bit easier than the last couple years. So maybe guys like Davion Adkins and Trent Perry and whatnot will get more of an opportunity to stake their claim for noteworthy minutes.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and Lawrence Journal World. Henry, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give me the non-conference record.
There
You
are
are
14
100%
games.
or at least 70% guaranteeing that Kansas gets in the non-conference.
Yeah, that's right. They changed to 14
14
games now, so
games,
maybe
yeah.
that's why they have the extra date.
True.
I'm going to say, okay, let me think about this and the ones that they're most likely to lose. I think at UConn is the one that you're most likely to pencil in as a loss, even though, KU's only played at UConn once before and they won, and last year was actually the first time UConn had ever beaten KU, but I feel like that's the most probable loss. I don't think super highly of Kentucky this year, but I'm going to say they lose one more game and go 12-2.
Okay, that's what
Fair
we said
enough,
too.
fair
But we
enough.
said that I said that it was either going to be Florida or Houston. I think Kansas
Right.
beats Kentucky.
That would be the next most likely after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think they would definitely lose to Florida, and then Houston would be a coin flip. Is
Yeah.
what I kind of thinking.
Did you have a follow-up, or you just wanted the play that game?
Oh, I just wanted to
record?
play the game of non-conference.
One of Dan's famous hypotheticals.
Yes. If. A very important word in forming a hypothetical question. I agree with what you said, and I was trying to not say what you said, which is that the schedule is a little bit easier, but it's true. I mean, because you look at it.
Not by that
and-
much.
Yeah,
but-
not by a ton, because again, you're still potentially going to have Auburn and Florida or Houston. Even if you get West Virginia, that's
Could get
that's a tough
Rutgers or Notre
game.
Dame.
Kentucky will probably be. It'll be a situation where we think Kansas is going to win, but Kentucky probably thinks Kentucky's going to win. And then Villanova, again, you feel good because you're at home. You got to beat Mizzou for obvious reasons. Ohio State, they were on that 8-9 line. But I even went further and said, looking at the bye games, yes, Kansas doesn't always play the best teams in the conference, like Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Princeton last year, but it doesn't seem like they're going to have a lot of game pressure put on them by pretty much any of these. Florida, Middle Tennessee State, Northern Iowa, yes, they were in the tournament. They were the 6th seed in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. Denver, Indiana State, New Orleans. That's probably a little bit of a game plan from everybody doing the scheduling, because this is going to be a young Kansas team that doesn't return a lot of guys from last year. And to your point, hopefully they get more chances to go out and play together and, build that chemistry.
Yeah, I'd also like to add, first of all, I was surprised how bad Indiana State was last year.
Yeah.
I think I was kind of still thinking that they had been
Josh
good
Schertz,
in the
no more.
post-Josh Schertz era, but they actually haven't. And Northern Iowa had a coaching change.
That's
Now,
right.
They promoted internally, but still, that previous guy, Christensen.
Ben Jacobson, yeah.
He was there for a long time. Sorry, I don't know why I said Christensen.
He took what's his face's job at Utah State.
Correct.
Yeah.
Calhoun.
Calhoun, yeah.
I knew that
Oh,
one.
what's
But
his face?
Yep.
You're right about that. Now, granted, I don't know if we necessarily thought last year that Princeton was going to put as much pressure on KU as they did. But
It's okay. We had Flory. The one game where Flory was like,
Right.
man, I'm an offensive guy down low, was against Princeton at Allen Fieldhouse.
yes, memories.
Yeah, yes.
But I think the schedule shook out fairly well for them, and I still think this team has so many question marks. Some of which Bill Self talked about in Topeka this week. If you wanna get into that, but I don't know how good they're going to be, but I do think they put themselves in a somewhat better position to build a more cohesive lineup prior to the start of Big 12 play.
This isn't even a Kansas question. It's just I want to know what you make of Kentucky for this year, because they got Momcilovic, so they struck out 11 times on everybody else they're trying to get. They did get Zoom Diallo too, but Mark Pope is just kind of a weird guy and not great at landing guys. But again, they got Momcilovic, they got Zoom Diallo. Gary Parrish has him at 16? 17 in his top 25 and one. He has KU at 26. But in terms of Torvik, kind of polar opposites, I guess. What do you make of Kentucky this year? And do you think they're going to be, back in the national conversation? Is Momcilovic enough for them to make it past whatever they were, 7 seed last year?
Well, it's impossible for Kentucky not to be in the national conversation.
Well, sure.
People will be talking about them whatever
yeah.
happens. Zoom Diallo and Alex Wilkins, both kind of names in the portal. I think a little more highly of Diallo than I do Wilkins. I think Wilkins is a bit of a more flawed player, but I think Diallo showed what he could do at Washington. Speaking of flaws, Momcilovic, an absolutely incredible shooter, but it'll be really interesting to see outside of the context of Iowa State and how sturdy they were on defense at the other 4 spots around him. I'll be very interested to see how Iowa State's kind of able to cover for him on the defensive end. Not that he's a bad player on that end. He's a 6'8" wing with good length and probably better athleticism than a lot of people give him credit for. But I don't know. He just became so synonymous with those Otzelberger teams. It'll be so interesting to see in a different context how it works out. Of course, they got Moreno to come back from the draft, or did he stay in? I don't recall.
No, he's back.
He's back.
Yeah, they got Moreno back, and he could take a big jump. So I think that with Momcilovic, they silenced some of the criticism that's been levied their way. But it's certainly going to require synthesizing a lot of new pieces in a scheme that maybe didn't fully work all the time last year. So I don't necessarily know what to expect with them.
Henry, you were going to be not at the KU baseball game on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
That is correct. You will be otherwise engaged. So we're having a stand-in for you, as we have for us. And
I can name him.
You're going to be.
I know you guys are too afraid.
Is his name Daniel Schmidt?
No, I'm sending Joseph Myers to this game.
Joseph Myers.
Never heard of him.
Shout out. Well, appreciate that. And you'll be tearing up the dance floor.
Well, you'll just have to see.
Yeah. Quick question, Henry. Do you have any song requests?
Oh my God.
You were supposed to put it on your RSVP.
By Usher? Oh my God, by Usher.
Yeah, I guess it was, but it wasn't like put song requests or else. It was like,
Yeah.
Do you have?
It
any
was
requests?
optional.
Yeah.
We got a few.
I'll think about it.
Okay.
There are so many great songs. You know what works really well at any wedding is Dancing Queen.
Dancing Queen.
That's always
That's
a good
in.
one.
I think that's in there.
Just
Oh,
don't
really?
play "We Are Family." Just please.
gonna do
That's
that.
just terrible. I hate it.
Well, and we did. I'm against this, but I think it's important. I specifically told our DJ. I said, one line dance song, cha-cha slide, Cupid shuffle, whatever it is, because it's for a recruitment tactic. It gets the people who aren't typically on the dance floor out on the dance floor. You get that early, people go out there and then they stay out there.
Smart.
I said you get one.
You can't do it too early.
Are
though.
you able to control?
Gotta make sure the bar's
order?
open.
Are you doing it like in order? These are the songs?
I'm leaving that up to his discretion.
Okay.
I talked to the DJ. He's actually my old band teacher. So he's doing that. I was first year trumpet, no big
Yes,
deal.
I recall.
But yeah, so he actually agreed with me. He said one is good. He said anything more than that is just awful. So there is going to be one. I don't know which one it is. I said you decide. Pick the best one. I don't know if it's going to be the Macarena or the electric slide or whatever.
Does the Macarena count? I think people sort of do. I guess that has known steps, but it's not you said a line dance.
Ooh, or even like the YMCA. I should probably text
What about
him. YMCA would be good because
two-step
it's
and
not
the Cowboy
super-
Boogie?
No, and no Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh,
no.
That's good. I'm surprising because all of this is very much in your personality.
No, but I don't want to do the line dances. I think they're cheesy. I think they're whatever. So I'll write you down for the Macarena.
We'll try to get some videos of Henry on the dance floor for KansasNation.com.
I know you're.
KansasNation.com.
I know you're a
you
big.
never go KansasNation.com.
No.
I know you're a big Chumbawamba guy.
I am a big Chumbawamba guy, as we discussed the other day.
Yes, you are a big Chumbawamba guy. There's any Chumbawamba songs?
I would say stay away from the ones about how the recording industry is evil and,
Okay.
and corrupts.
so
Other than that, you're great.
Yeah.
You are the only other person. You're the only person in the world probably who knows any other Chumbawamba songs besides Tub Thumping.
Hey, shout out to Todd in the Shadows. Great
Todd in
YouTube
the
channel. And he has a series about one-hit wonders and kind of goes through their entire careers.
Nice.
So that's how I learned about the full discography of Chumbawamba.
All right, fair enough.
Wow. I'll let you guys continue this conversation at a different day. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Appreciate you, Henry, and hopefully a fun weekend at Hogan Ballpark. So we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
More coming up. ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. Learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. Jayhawkchecking.com, Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. Gonna give some NBA game picks to close out the show, but first we've got to do our KU Mailbag segment. No food questions, I don't think, which is unfortunate.
There is one.
No food on the desk, though.
No food on the desk. Unfortunate.
So, that's the unfortunate portion. But who's kicking us off today?
Colin is kicking us off today. He said, if KU baseball wins, do we riot?
Do we riot? Yeah.
Yes.
What if they lose? Do we riot?
Okay, but actually, here's the thing. Like, I don't know. Would you be opposed to them potentially blocking off Mass Street like they do for the national championship whenever KU won in 22 and 2008? I believe they did it when Kansas won the Orange Bowl too.
You mean for the College World Series?
Yeah, that's
or
what I'm saying. For the
for the week of the College World Series?
No, just for that night. Like for the
I guess I wouldn't be opposed of it.
Like Sunday night,
it's
Kansas,
tough because you're still not bringing home a trophy.
That's true.
And you're still in the middle of a season.
That's true. Okay, don't do it.
I don't know.
You know what?
Yeah,
no,
I think
actually,
you got to wait until.
I think
do whatever if
I think
KU
you're
wins
right.
at all.
I think you have the Kobe Bryant mindset of, hey, job's not finished.
Well, of course.
Job's not finished.
Of course the job's not finished.
Hey, you're happy to go to Omaha? Guess what? We expect to go to Omaha. Job's not finished.
Yeah, man, we're not going to celebrate too early.
No riots. But if Kansas wins the national championship.
Yeah. Yeah, block off whatever, any parade.
Absolutely.
You know.
Parades.
We'll see.
Yeah, Mass Street's going to be just unbelievable.
It's
oh
interesting
gosh,
because, the College World Series could be as many as 9 or 10 days long.
Yeah.
Say.
310 is June
'cause you
12th
got
through the 22nd.
pod setting before you get the best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Last year was LSU over Coastal Carolina. Remember, Arkansas had some heartbreaking losses in the College World Series and didn't get to the championship
portion
of that. Oh,
too
well,
bad.
Yeah, no riot until the job is finished, I'd say.
Yeah, job's not done. Hey, Cole, he says, why don't more people eat kiwis? Those things are so good.
Because they're too difficult to peel and slice.
Yeah, so you can't eat the skin? They're hairy
You
also.
can, but probably just the one time.
Okay.
Probably would give you some tummy issues.
Sure, that makes sense. So I actually didn't know that. I didn't know you couldn't eat the skin. Because
I've never tried. But
a kiwi to me feels like a pear. Like I just want to just take a bite out of it. Also, I feel like there's a lack of.
It's actually called a kiwi fruit, one word, or Chinese gooseberry.
Ooh, Chinese gooseberry. Yeah, that is a good question. I feel like it's always paired with something. Like you never see like kiwi flavored things. I actually learned something from Henry Greenstein during the break. He said you cannot make kiwi yogurt because there's an enzyme in the kiwi that apparently is not compatible to make yogurt.
That is interesting. And come to think of it, I haven't.
Never seen kiwi yogurt. But it's always paired. Like anytime you see something like kiwi flavored, it's always strawberry kiwi.
Right.
And every single time. There's no such thing as a kiwi flavored blank.
I'm going to look up kiwi yogurt. Right now what I'm looking at is a video of how to properly open a kiwi, peel a kiwi.
Slice.
It says, it's funny, Ava says open, talking about a banana. Oh, I can open it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute.
You know what? My fiance always says, turn off the candle. She's 26.
I've said that
It's
before.
not as cute.
Right. So apparently what you're supposed to do is put the spoon in there.
Okay.
But then you twist the kiwi. Don't twist the spoon. Keep that in the same spot. Just twist the kiwi.
Kiwis are good.
See, but I think to answer the question, I mean,
Yeah, why don't more people eat kiwis?
because of the peeling process.
Why is it not in the... Yeah, but
Kiwi yogurt.
like oranges
Put
aren't
kiwi
like...
on top of yogurt.
Oranges aren't super easy to peel unless you're talking
And
clementines.
that deters me. It does.
But oranges are in the stratosphere of like typical fruit. Kiwis are not, and I don't know why. I like kiwis. Maybe it's because they're too small.
They're
And you-
very good. They're
you'll
very
need to
good. I
eat-
like the particularly sour ones. But
Yeah,
again,
fine.
it's too difficult. The fuzzy outside, whatever it's called, it's too difficult to
So are
I'll try
oranges.
twisting the fruit and leaving the spoon there.
Sure. I think oranges are easy because they come like individually sliced, which is fun.
Right.
That's like a fun nature thing. Elliot, this is a great question.
Hard hitters.
He said, "Would you?" Okay, this is a long one. He says, "Would you get bit by 200 mosquitoes for KU baseball to win the College World Series? Would you get bit by 2 rattlesnakes for KU men's basketball to win the national title this year? And would you go 1 year without being able to drive a car/motorcycle for KU to win the CFP championship?" He said you can combine all 3 above. Or would you lose your full salary for a year while still having to work for 5 guaranteed championships in any sport for any of your favorite teams? So combine all 3 above, 200 mosquitoes, 2 rattlesnakes, 1 year without being able to drive a car for a College World Series, national title in basketball, national title in football, or lose your full year of salary while still having to work for 5 guaranteed championships in any sport for any of your favorite teams. There's a lot to think about.
It's a lot. So why don't you attack it?
So this is what this is what I'm thinking. So you get 3 guaranteed championships in the 3 major sports in a year. So for baseball in 26, football in technically 27, and then basketball in 27. That would be the greatest year in all of Kansas athletics history. For 200 mosquito bites, 2 rattlesnake bites, and you're not able to drive a car or a motorcycle. Now, the question is, would I be able to ride in a car? Because I would need to go to the I would need to go to the hospital.
And could you drive a bus?
He did say only car or motorcycle.
Could you drive?
What? Yeah. Ooh, that's good. What about a moped?
Could you fly an airplane?
49cc, fly an airplane, also good. I would need my salary for that. Or okay, so 5 guaranteed championships for any sport for any of your favorite teams. So I only have 2 other favorite teams, which is the Royals and the Chiefs.
Right.
So would I go full year salary for a Super Bowl, World Series? Oh my gosh. So I could just add the 2 for a year without my salary.
Yeah.
So essentially you're going College World Series, national title in basketball, national title in football,
So all
Super
those
Bowl
things have to
and
happen
World
to
Series
you,
for
plus you don't get your salary.
without a full year of salary. I'm not getting bit by anything.
Yeah. You know why I think you'll be okay for all that to happen?
Why?
Your commission.
Yeah, that's true.
I think your commission will put
My
you
sales
in
commission?
a good spot because you're giving up your
I
salary, but
would
your
imagine
commission, the funds you're bringing in from your commission, will be able to keep you afloat.
Yeah, but I feel like that's included. I don't know.
I don't think so. It says salary. It doesn't say anything about commission.
Just gotta. I mean, I think I just gotta hope and pray that Piper does not lose her job because I'm going with the
That's
salary,
true.
and I'm going 5. I'm taking the 5 because, by the way, weird fact about me: I've never been bitten by a mosquito.
There's no way that's true.
That is true. Never once in my life have I seen a mosquito
You
on
need
me.
to,
And
you need to touch grass,
I've touched grass,
particularly in the summertime.
I've been around mosquitoes. I've just never been bitten by a mosquito. I have been
There's
bitten
just
by a
no way.
snake before. It was a gardener snake. It bit me on the finger and it hurt really bad. I have a little scar from it on my thumb. Rattlesnake's different. And also, I need a car to drive around. But I also need money to pay for the gas to drive a car around.
There you go. That's the
So
thing.
that's the thing. I just really got to hope that Piper keeps her job.
Yeah.
Because, like, I would do, like, this job that we have right now, it's great that we get paid for it. But, like, you know, it's a cool job. At least I'm not, like, going to a coal mine and working for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, quite different than that.
Very different. Like, a tough day at the old podcast factory. You know what I mean? That's what I always say to Piper.
Yeah.
So, a tough day at the old podcast factory.
Does she think it's funny? Do you get a laugh out of it sometime?
Never. Damn. What would you choose?
So I have to choose either the top 3.
Or the bottom?
I think I would take the top 3.
Okay.
200 mosquito bites, plus 2 rattlesnake bites, plus a year of having to walk places. I feel like I could handle that.
And you're just riding a bike everywhere?
For KU to get the big 3. I'd
Okay.
be good with that. And then, I keep my salary and roll the dice with Mahomes, man. Just
Yeah,
roll the dice.
that's
I don't
fair.
need the guarantee. Just
All
roll
right.
the dice. Yep.
Just roll the dice. Well,
fair.
also that's what makes sports fun, though, right?
Yeah.
Is the not knowing. Like if you do something to guarantee a win,
Right.
then it almost kind of takes the fun out of it because you're like, oh, well, I already know what's going to happen.
But it is nice winning championships.
It is. No, that's true. I guess I shouldn't take it takes the fun out of it. It takes the suspense out of it.
Yeah.
I'm taking the full year salary. Go ahead and take it because I don't want to get bitten by a rattlesnake.
Okay.
And it's a World Series and
so
a
you're going
Super
to be
Bowl.
bringing in $0, but you have commission. You can't put a price on that.
That's right. It's true. I can't.
Thank God.
Luke says, how much money would you need to never be able to consume milk again? This is tricky.
This is tricky because
So he says
I'm not a
consume.
big milk consumer. You know who is? Brian.
Brian, my buddy Brian,
Yeah,
big
it's
milk
his
guy.
second favorite beverage.
Right. But he says consume milk. So that means like no cake. No, I mean there's like no milk chocolate, all dark chocolate.
Anything in the kitchen, man.
I mean there's a lot of stuff in the kitchen that uses milk. No
Yeah.
baked goods, no scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs, man. You can put water in scrambled eggs.
Yeah, why would you do that? I mean just cook the scrambled eggs without milk or water. You put water in your
it's
scrambled
not,
eggs?
It's not as fluffy. If I don't have any milk, I've done it in the past. It just makes it fluffier.
Yeah, I'll just cook my scrambled eggs just regular.
No. Add water. You'll thank me later.
But no baked goods, no milk. How much money? For the rest of my life, $25,000.
I don't think that's enough because of the things that you just said. I mean, that takes so much goodness.
Yeah, I can never eat
so
cake
much
again.
goodness.
That's true.
Ice cream?
Oh, yeah. $26,000. I can eat frozen yogurt.
I'll go.
Frozen yogurt. That's dairy free. There's dairy free options.
I'll go $200,000.
$200,000.
$200,000 because that way I feel like I actually am bringing in some money
Sure.
and I can find ways around it.
Okay.
Granted, you can do all the dairy free options that are probably not very good.
Yeah.
But
I've always said this. I said there's not a lot I wouldn't do for
yeah,
more than $50,000 is usually my
Right.
ceiling
Right.
with most things. Jerry Z, good to hear from you, man. He says potential all Big 12 honorees for football for KU. Got any in mind?
Nick McMillan,
Nick McMillan,
Dylan Edwards.
Dylan Edwards, absolutely. Dylan
Leroy
Edwards.
Harris.
I say Leroy Harris and Trey Lathan are the ones that stick out to me on the defensive side of the ball. Let's see. I'm gonna go.
I like Nick McMillan, and I know we have another question coming up on him.
Dark horse, Amir Herring.
Wow,
I think he'll be really good.
former Michigan legend
Or Caden
Snyder.
Caden Snyder. Be good. Some guys on the offensive line. Jalen Todd, I think, is primed to have a really good year.
Inside or outside?
God, I hope he's outside. If he plays inside corner, I mean, he's just going to destroy Kansas. Saeed Gibbs, potentially. Yeah. Mark Connington, the kicker.
Reno
I think-
Monteforte.
I think he's going to be good. Yeah, Reno,
Yeah.
of course. How could I forget about
Snapper.
Reno? I mean, okay, but realistically, like, do you see any quarterbacks getting honorable mentions? Or all Big 12 first team or second team?
Just win, baby.
I mean,
That's
here's
what
the
it
thing.
comes
Like,
down to.
you have, like, DJ Lagway at Baylor and Mestamaker at Oklahoma State. And, like, there's some really good quarterbacks.
It literally
in the Big 12.
comes down to the quarterback comes down to winning more than anything else.
Absolutely
If the quarterback's
it does.
going to get honored, if you go 8-4 or 9-3, then there's a good chance your quarterback is going to get some sort of recognition.
True.
So
It's very
compared to those other ones, maybe not as much. But a similar question from Blake. Blake said, E-Man had 45 catches, 766 yards, and 5 touchdowns last year. Do we see another wide receiver get that this year?
766 tough. So E-Man, if you remember, got off to a really hot start. And then what they started doing is they started putting kind of a shadow, almost like a double team on E-Man because they knew how much of a burner he was. So he had a relatively quiet kind of back half of the year, which that kind of thing happens. You know what I mean? It happens with all wide receivers if you're the best wide receiver on the team. I think that Kansas has enough depth Potentially, right? I mean, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility that you can see Nick McMillan going over 700. I don't know if the 45 receptions is going to be just because, like, I think you're going to be spreading the ball around. I think that, like, Cam Pickett is going to be the highest reception guy, but I don't think he's going to get 766 yards because he's going to be the quick reception, hot routes, blitz routes. That's the guy you find in the flats. You know what I mean? Like, Cam Pickett's not burning. Not saying that he's not fast, but he's the way that you're going to utilize Cam Pickett is not going to be, hey, run a go route and stack your man. That's not what's going to happen. He's going to be playing inside, lined up against a safety. He's going to be running 5-yard outs, in routes, return routes, hot routes, whatever it is. It's going to be short yardage situations with Cam Pickett.
I also think there's the inexperienced quarterback factor. No matter who the QB is for Kansas, not a lot of experience. And a lot of times those guys rely on not only dump offs, but the short stuff to the running backs, and Carson Brune we're really excited about. So I think, young quarterbacks rely on their tight ends a lot. So I don't know, tough to say, but to me, I know that we're really high on the law firm at the wide receiver spot.
Yeah, McMillan and Cox. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think McMillan's going to get up close to 600, over 600. 766 really good. 5 touchdowns.
Good.
I think
E-Man was like on track there early for having a
You know what's crazy?
Year.
I bet you Dylan Edwards gets over 5 receiving touchdowns this year.
Okay.
That's not crazy.
I'm all about.
Am I crazy?
Are you crazy?
Andy, he has a question about Sean. As an ordained minister myself, Andy, he has performed 2 weddings. One took 15 minutes. The other took 12. Does Sean think he can beat that this weekend?
Absolutely.
You think so?
If you're talking about making it shorter, is that what we're talking about? Because absolutely.
I think he means longer.
Oh, no. No, I could beat it.
You don't have a top 10?
I really think I can. We could do, after your wedding, we could do top 10 minutes of your ceremony.
Ooh, that's good.
The first minute was great because you walked in and then you gave your mom a hug.
Yeah, right.
And then the 6th minute was awesome because I said something funny, and the 4th minute was the best minute because Piper walked down the aisle.
Yeah, that's good.
Great.
Top 10
minutes of your ceremony. So I'll make sure to keep it within 10.
Well, that's the thing. I guess this might need to be. Might need to dive into this a little bit. Is he talking 15 minutes total, like from start of organ music to end of organ music, or is he talking like his part was 15 minutes and 12 minutes?
Either way, that sounds long.
Legitimately, how long is yours going to be?
I have no idea. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
That's great. It would help if I had any sort of guidance from you guys on how long you'd like it to be. How long would you like it to be? I can adjust.
Like 8 to 10. 10 probably.
A 10-minute.
I don't think it's
a 10-minute long ceremony.
Yeah, but that's like with all the stuff included. Like, you don't have to even figure any of that stuff out. That's just like basically, that's nothing. 10 minutes. We've spent 20 minutes on way stupider stuff.
Absolutely, we have.
That's not crazy. To do 10 minutes.
Way stupider.
You can BS your way through it. Just make a top 10.
I could.
Do sports stock market.
Yeah.
Case of the Mondays.
Ding, ding, ding.
Last one here. Hank, he says, what's a band that you wish had more recognition?
Easy. The Fray.
The Fray.
They don't get enough love. I want to hear them played on.
They have the exact correct amount.
No, they
of
don't. I want to hear them played on country stations. I want to hear them played on hip hop stations. Mix 93.3. Everything.
I actually have.
I never knew.
I have a couple.
I never knew that everything.
I wish Steely Dan was bigger than they are, and they're still. Steely Dan's a big. They're kind of, but in terms of the stratosphere, Steely Dan's a good band. I like Steely Dan. And then Ripe. Nobody knows Ripe. Nobody knows Ripe.
Hank knows Ripe.
Henry is like the only other person I've ever met that knows Ripe, and then my buddy Brian.
Of course, Brian knows Ripe.
Brian knows Ripe. Nobody knows Ripe. Ripe, look him up. Goon Squad, Sweet Carol Lee. There's
Brother Sky.
Brother Sky, a great song. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, they have good songs. Look up Ripe. Let's see, the Beatles. I just think they should be bigger.
I agree. ABBA.
ABBA, true. I went to the ABBA Museum in Sweden. It was awesome. Man, that was so much fun. But no, like, I don't know. Steely Dan, I think, is probably the right answer. The Bee Gees, I think they got too much hate. Nickelback also got too much hate.
Nickelback got way too much hate. I agree.
They did. I know you're a big Nickelback guy.
Oh man,
I know.
there better be some Nickelback.
They had their time where people just hated Nickelback.
Yeah, oh
I
my
don't know
God.
why. They're fun.
Look at this. Yeah, no.
Look at this photograph.
Yeah. Did you ever see the spinoff? Look at this Instagram.
No.
Oh, it's so good.
That's
you have to
funny.
look it up after the show. Hey, more coming up. We're going to give some NBA Game 1 game picks, Spurs and Knicks rematch, the 1999 NBA Finals. That's next on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com. Closing things out here on Rock Chalk Sports, we're going to give some NBA game picks. Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Spurs and Knicks. Custom Lawn and Landscape, partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Visit them online at customlawn.com. First application is absolutely free, so take advantage of that, why don't you? Nothing ruins time outside faster than fleas, ticks, and chiggers. That's why families trust Custom Lawn and Landscape to help keep their lawns beautiful and protected all season long. Again, visit customlawn.com to schedule your free first application with the Seasonal Insect Control Program. Custom Lawn and Landscape, helping you love your lawn without the bugs. Dan, it is a rematch, 1999. Spurs
Party
and Knicks.
like it's
Spurs the 2 seed
1999.
in the West. Knicks the 3 seed in the East. Knicks going for their first championship since 1973. We talked briefly about this yesterday, how the Spurs are favorite to win the series. In fact, they're minus 185. Knicks are plus 155. Tonight, though, in San Antonio, Spurs minus 4.5. Over-under is 218.5.
Yeah, in San Antonio, I think that the Spurs are going to win this game. 4.5 feels right to me. I think the Spurs actually wind up covering this line. The public likes it too. It's at minus 112, so I like that. I like the under 218.5. I think this is going to be a tough game. I think both teams are going to be high on defense. I think the Knicks have been well rested and they're ready for the Spurs. So I think it's going to go under. I think the Spurs do cover the 4.5 points. I have one player prop that I just love for no reason at all. OG Anunoby over 6 rebounds. That
For no reason.
I just think he's going to be raking them in. It's at minus 127 right now, so the public likes it too. I love OG Anunoby over 6 rebounds. Victor Wembanyama right now, it's at like 27 points for him at minus 122. I just don't know if he's going to get there, like 25 or 26, maybe 24. So I don't know. I don't want to touch any of the over-unders on the points. Jalen Brunson over 26. I don't know if I see it or not. But OG Anunoby, I think, is going to get over 6 rebounds.
So before the final starts, we can ask this. Do you like the Spurs at minus 185? Knicks are plus 155. The Spurs are the trendy team right now because they have all this young talent surrounded by Wemby, but they also have Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, and they've got a veteran presence in De'Aaron Fox. They have a lot going for them right now, but it's almost like the Knicks are being undersold a little bit, in my opinion, because they have the chemistry and they just keep winning. So I don't know your thoughts.
I think you're right. I think the Knicks are being undersold. I think that it would be a little bit different if this game was in New York. I think that the Knicks would probably win it. And I think the Knicks are...
But for the series?
For the series, I don't know. I'm rooting for the Knicks. I like the odds at plus 155. So go ahead. You know what? I'm going to say it. Shout out to the New York Knicks for winning the NBA Finals.
All right, you know what? I'll have you pick Mikal Bridges as well as your MVP at plus 15,000. That's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports today. Shout out to Elijah Schmidt for running the operations, and of course, a big thanks to Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com for joining us in studio. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying, don't forget to join us tomorrow. More KU baseball coverage and a lot more. Rock Chalk Sports 4 to 6 every day. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.